It's me. Leave a message at the beep.
Hey man, it's me. Gosh, so it was so funny. You know how my office was robbed a while back and they got, I don't know, like a lot of stuff, like 4 or 5 grand worth of cameras and just everything, equipment, all of it. Everything but the monitors and the tower, which were just too big to walk down the street with. So, as you know, I have insurance, but I have $1,000 deductible, and I've got, the depreciation thing I wasn't factoring in when I gave them my replacement list, because I gave them replacement values, and then they depreciated anyway. I still ended up getting a fair chunk of change. So, light bulb. I got robbed again magically. Didn't happen, but let's say it did. So here's the thing. I need about $30,000 in receipts, and I was thinking, who do I know that has nice stuff that could say he sold it to me? Now remember, insurance fraud is only like it's barely punishable. It's only like, I don't know, 20 years or something. And they don't, you'd probably get 2 years and probation. And that's, you'll miss a couple years of your kids growing up, but they're so young. They won't even remember it. And they're not even fun at this point. They're too small. So I was thinking, 20-30 grand in receipts, I could kick you $200. What do you say? So don't bother calling me back. Just go ahead and email over the receipts and just put whatever on it. Just put whatever. It's fine. All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Welcome back to the podcast, the Glossy News 4K news review and all that good stuff podcast, my friends. Oh my gosh, this week is different. It is different. You see, I'm trying to give you the best stuff you can have. So, all the backlog of ready-made content I have, I am preempting. This week is a special week. This week is the week of Roy Zimmerman. Now, if you don't know who he is, and I assure you, you do not, he is a brilliant satirist. He makes satirical music on topics ranging from lefty atheism to lefty politics and everywhere in between, which last I checked, there's not a whole lot in between, but that's really hardly the point. No, what the point is that it's basically a big extended review of a musician I'm a big fan of, and I think you might be too. So, that's pretty awesome. I considered running another segment or two, but I decided against it. So, with all that said, let's go straight in to our sponsor of the week. Yes, here we go. This week's podcast is brought to you in part by Meeting Your Heroes. Meeting Your Heroes, it's what I did when I, once again, slightly screwed up the sound. Meeting Your Heroes, it's pretty awesome. I still recommend it. Just don't screw up the sound. Meeting Your Heroes, it is, of course, What's for Dinner. It is also brought to you in part by RoyZimmerman.com, an unofficial sponsor who paid nothing for this, who I just think is awesome. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. There you go. Let's get started. So, like many people, I learned of Roy Zimmerman from YouTube. His channel has a lot of views. His top couple videos have 1.2, 1.6 million views. He's well established. He's been doing this for 20 plus years. He's been featured on NPR. He's got celebrity endorsements from the likes of you name it. He's opened for Bill Maher and John Oliver. He's just really clever. So I sent him an email and said, hey, I noticed you're going to be in town. I'd love to come out and interview you for my podcast. And graciously, he accepted. Now that's pretty awesome. So what I've got is permission to show you the interview that we did. Put up a couple clips explaining who he is from his channel, and show you some excerpts from his live performance in Seattle at the Finney Ridge Neighborhood Center. And I apologize in advance that I don't get to show you, full songs, but I'm not selling his music. I don't get anything from his music. I'm giving you samples of his music so you can love it as much as I do. And, then I just include links in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see links on the screen. He's great. And if you watch the podcast and you still don't like him, well, then, don't click the links because he's obviously not your cup of tea. So I'm going to go into some themes, some examples of why he's so damn clever. And I assure you, next week we'll go back to the usual stuff. But boy, I tell you, this was just a really great week. Here's the first clip, and this one's a full clip because it's from his channel, and, it's just so awesome.
I'm not a cynic. I'm a hypocrite. It's different. Hypocrites believe in something. Right. And it's great to be in a classroom, too, in a lecture hall, because, they want to teach creationism in the schools. Creation science is what they call it, right? That's the euphemism that they've chosen for it. And I say teach that. Teach creation science, but teach the Norse Odin myth. Teach the karmic wheel, and teach the Scientology version, which says that the world was created on a bet between God and L. Ron Hubbard. And some of you skeptics might be, you might have a kind of a blind faith in science and empirical inquiry and observable reality and other myths. And so I thought I might set you straight on creation science tonight. God made the world in 7 days. Well, that's 1 week to be specific. Now that's what I call scientific. Say hallelujah, sing his praise, 4042 BC. On Monday, August 27, he made the earth and sky and heaven. Then he punched out at 5:03, then he made Adam and then Eve. A garden for them to inhabit. The apple right where Eve could grab it. And I got proof because I believe creation science 101. In the beginning it begun. And you are just beginning to educate yourself when you shun evolution. Then Cain and Abel he begat. And they begat all of the rest to us, which means they must have been incestuous. I'm gonna have to pray about that. There might be sinners in this class who might believe in Charles Darwin. I guess that's just their loss and our win, because I'm gonna flunk their ass if you make Genesis your text. You'll laugh at Darwin and what he sees to be the origin of species, because he's just plain oversexed creation science 101. You ain't no monkey's great-grandson. You got a research paper due about the 50 reasons to shun evolution. Don't let them hand you that old jive about survival of the fittest. That notion don't pass the bullshit test. 'Cause look at me, I'm still alive. God made the world just like it is. He made the fossils just to tease us. Old bones to test our faith in Jesus. Yeah, this'll all be on the quiz. Creation Science 101. Now Armageddon, your homework done. Because when this semester's through, it's straight A's for students who shun evolution. The kids get such an education when they shun the heretical theory of the development of life on Earth over millions of years by means of spontaneous genetic mutation.
His topics are often, secular or even specifically anti-theistic. But this being an election year, he has to kind of refocus a bit. Being in Seattle, he had requested to come to town through the folklore community, which is a folk music community. And they had said, no, nobody comes to see music after Bumbershoot. And he said, look, it's an election year. People want this. Come on, reconsider. They looked at his work. They said, yeah, you know what? Yeah. So even though typically his barbs are, varied, they're more political at this time, but still, here's you goes.
Glad you're here. Yes, it's an amazing year, isn't it? It's an unusual election, to say the least. Yes, we have a woman running for president, and we have a man running for chancellor of Germany. So, Trump is not Hitler. He's Mussolini without the discipline. That's what I think. That is what I think. And I do try to bring people together. That's what I'm trying to do. So don't cover your ears. If you're supporting Trump, don't cover your ears. Listen and learn. Woody Guthrie wrote on the face of his guitar, "This machine kills fascists." And Pete Seeger wrote on the head of his banjo, "This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender." And I'd say, this machine speaks truth to power. Whoa, whoa. This machine saves baby seals. Whoa. This machine sends fear and ignorance to their certain doom. This machine drives neocon, jingoistic warmongering, xenophobic crypto-fascists from the room.
And, it kind of goes on like this. I'm sure you can find this particular song on one of his 9 albums. But, that was just his opening song. One of my favorite Roy Zimmerman songs is about the fantasy and shared delusion of those who, for lack of a better word, suckle at the teat of conservative propaganda, at the conservative teat monster. So here's the first little bit, from a song about that. And, we'll kind of go from there.
Offshore drilling is completely safe. You're getting sleepy. Tax cuts for the rich create new jobs. You're getting sleepy. Financial institutions will police themselves, and illegal aliens are stealing all your pens. Now when I count to 3 and snap my fingers, you'll awake refreshed and vote Republican. White people are the real victims of racism. You're getting sleepy. Fox News is fair and balanced. Sleepy. Healthcare is a privilege and not a right. We can work together to wipe out the middle class. Now when I count to 3 and snap my fingers, you'll awake confused and vote Republican. I'm not saying Barack Obama is a foreign-born Islamist puppy eater. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you decide. There's no evidence to suggest that Nancy Pelosi is a 1,000-year-old Nazi vampire. But that's what I heard. Somebody said that. It was me. Democrats want to put you in a re-education camp and kill your grandma and bring Stalin back to life. Now when I count to 3 and snap my fingers, Republican.
Chatting with a pro.
So today we're at the Finney Ridge Neighborhood Center, backstage, green room if you will. It's a good place and I love it. With Roy Zimmerman, satirist, musician extraordinaire. How you doing, Roy?
I'm doing good.
Yes.
I like that intro.
Oh, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks. You excited for tonight's show?
I am.
I am too. So a couple quick questions for you. Who's your biggest musical influence?
Well, there are so many. I mean, Tom Lehrer comes right to mind, of course, in terms of satire and funny songs and all that then, too.
Sure.
But Pete Seeger, Phil Oakes, Paul Simon, and, I would be remiss not to say the Beatles. That's all I did.
And, of course, that will come up later.
Once again, thank you for being here, and thanks to the Seattle Folklore Society. Hope we've answered all your questions. But for me, there's one question that remains unanswered. And that's, what if Elvis was Jewish? Oh, and that other question, the other question. The question that goes, what if the Beatles were Irish? Picture yourself in a boat on a river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies. Suddenly someone appears at the church out like, oh my God, let's go by. Celadine flowers of yellow and green towering over your head. I look for the go with the sun and her and she's gone.
Air. I like to breathe air, for instance, and yeah, exactly.
So you consume fluids, I understand.
I do.
Yes. So who would you say are your biggest humor influences?
George Carlin. I mean, some of the people that I've actually met and shared stages with. Bill Maher, of course. And a lot of the comics actually from the '80s comedy scene in San Francisco. That's where I had my comedy comeuppance.
Sure.
On the stage of the Holy City Zoo and the other cafe and all that then too. So Will Durst, who's still doing great political comedy.
Sure.
And Jay Johansson and some of these guys.
I can see Bill Maher being a fan of a number of your themes.
Yes.
So who would you say is your biggest musical comedy influence?
Oh, see, now you're honing it down.
I'm dialing it in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there was a tradition here in America for a short while, like in the late '60s, early '70s, of people who did this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And like Ray Stevens. You remember Ray Stevens?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, people ask me, like, who's doing, like, right-wing kind of satire these days.
Sure.
Ray Stevens is a guy who he's a big Tea Party guy. So if you look him up on YouTube, he's doing funny songs. They're funny songs, and they're good, quality songs and all that stuff, like, original songs. I can always point to him as someone who's doing, sort of anti-Obamacare. I mean, the arguments are fakakta, but the songs are good.
Right. And, for that matter, there was a great discussion the other day online where they were saying, well, the comedians only make fun of the right. It's like, well, that's because the right doesn't have any comedians unless you count Dennis Miller. Yeah. And I don't even think Dennis Miller counts Dennis Miller.
Dennis Miller is a great example. I mean, I said we used to have a name for right-wing satire. We called it cruelty.
Yes.
It just goes that way because right-wing satirists make fun of the powerless.
Yes.
So how funny is that after a while? You may even laugh, right?
Yeah.
I remember Bobby Slayton. You know that name?
No.
Bobby Slayton is a comic from the San Francisco scene, and he's been in movies, and anyway, he's a famous guy, and in the comedy world, he used to do a bit about a lady firefighter. I don't want to. If I'm in a burning building, I don't want a dyke with Birkenstocks going, get up, get up, get up. That was his bit. So you laughed.
Yeah.
Now you feel like hell because you laughed, right?
I was really more laughing at the approach than the joke.
See, that's the thing. Sometimes it's the timing of it and the delivery of it and so forth then too. You can laugh at things that you disagree with.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you go away from that experience and you go like, well, I want to take a shower,
Jimmy Carr is the master of that, where he'll tell a joke and he'll say, no, you can't go ha 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 and then ooh.
Yeah.
You got to do one or the other.
Right.
You can't be disgusted at me.
Right.
So, what do you see as the face of the presidential race at this point, now that essentially the nominations are done?
That's where we are. When does this podcast air?
This will actually come out next a week from today.
Okay, good. So we're still current.
Yes.
I just think there's that roller coaster thing where you get on a roller coaster, and as scary as it is, you always kind of well, somebody designed this.
Sure.
And I'm going to be okay.
Sure.
Right, there's that. But a really good roller coaster will have that moment where you just lose your shit.
Right.
And you're not sure whether you're going to live or die.
Right.
That's where we are in this race.
Okay, that's fair. Who are you glad is already out of the race?
Is already out of the race?
Yes.
I'm not glad. What I think that they can all hang around as long as they want.
Sure.
I'm sad that Bernie is out of the race.
I am as well.
Right. I think that Bernie's done a fantastic thing for this country, and will continue to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm sad that I guess that answers your question. I'm sad that he's out of the race.
Sure. I just figured you'd be so overjoyed that Ted is out of the race that it would kind of overshadow almost anything except Trump still being in it.
People say that it's this should be easy now. Satire should be easy, and it writes itself. These are the people. This is what people say. You've got too much material and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'd rather have no material.
Right.
I'd rather have a nice world of peace and justice, and I'll just write funny love songs.
Right. I'll move on to something else. Well, you just want so and so elected because it'll make your job easier. At what price?
Yeah.
At what price?
You've got kids. We want to build a better world. That's what we want to do.
Sure.
That's why I'm doing this then too.
Sure.
Is to lend my voice to that effort.
And have you already been thinking about themes for songs for after November?
Well, we have to see what happens, don't we?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I could write dirges.
Yeah.
Or I could write celebratory, like disco tunes or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd be there for both.
Okay.
So I
Would
noticed.
you be there for a celebratory disco dirge?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
So I noticed you have a problem with the scientists, and I've got my note right, of Croatia, that you just don't think that they're real scientists.
The Croatianists?
The Croatian scientists.
I see. Okay, I see what you're saying.
See, for those of you listening at home, I'm trying to be funny to someone funnier than me, and it didn't work.
I caught on to you.
Yeah.
Early there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was worth a shot.
Some of our wonderful scientists come from Croatia, I'll have you know. Deep offense at that.
Yes. The whole region is rich in many minerals as well.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier you'd mentioned the Beatles as an influence, so I had to bring up the question, Peacenik.
Yes.
What was going on there?
Who's that chubby old hippie stuck in your chimney? Sliding down in your fireplace and now you see him knee-high. He's dropping out of the sky, dropping in just to lay it on you on a Christmas morning. Got a pipe in one hand and a peace sign in the other. Got a sack on his back full of toys, love and brotherhood. A Volkswagen bus pulled by 8 tiny reindeer, a twinkle in his eye and granola in his grin. Says, are you gonna give peace a chance or what? In a trance on a transcontinental transcendental trip, can you dig what a long strange trip it's been?
With the whole album or what?
Specifically that song.
Oh, that song.
Yes, the one that sounded like a 67, 68 Beatles vintage.
Okay, good. Well, who's that chubby old hippie stuck in your chimney?
I don't know.
It's Peacenik. That's the whole idea. He's supposed to be a harbinger of peace and love in the era of peace, right?
Right.
So it was just casting Santa Claus as the old hippie that he is.
Sure, I didn't mean.
He lives in Fairfax, California, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Did you know that?
No. Now that there's no North Pole anymore.
Right. It is actually, yeah.
He's got a nice a Victorian bungalow in Fairfax.
If he can afford all those toys, I think the mortgage should be reasonable. It's just. The song was just so incredibly layered and rich, and
Thank you. It's not a song that most people pick out or whatever. I love that song.
It was, and you started talking about the lyrics. The lyrics are secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's what I intended. Yeah.
So, if you could write a new 10 Commandments for the world to blindly follow, how rich would you be, and would you still be singing?
Oh, you really got me cash in on that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm asking.
There's a presumption in your question there.
Well, I mean, that's what the 10 Commandments has always been about.
About wealth?
Well, for the people who control the Ten Commandments, certainly.
Yeah, well, there's a degree to which religion, organized religion anyway, has always been about crowd control. That's true.
Yes.
And
Yes.
right, and to that extent, I suppose that figures into to wealth collection too.
What's interesting to me about the Ten Commandments is not what's in it, but what's not in it.
What would you have? What would you put in there?
Rape.
Rape in there, yeah.
Child abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to respect your parents, but.
Those are 2 chapters, I think, in Samuel, in the book of Samuel, rape and child abuse.
And then we've got like 2 or 3 commandments on coveting, depending on which version, which book of the Bible you're looking at.
Right.
I mean, boy, and coveting.
Coveting.
That is something that is.
That's when you can start doing it and you don't even know you're doing it.
It's allowed. It's
Right.
encouraged.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy to me. So I guess in conclusion, I would say you travel a lot, you do long tours. It looks like you do them mostly by road. I'm sure you fly a bit. Any fun TSA stories?
TSA?
Because I give them hell as often as I can.
Yeah?
I mean, not in person, I just mean on the podcast.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I am not a fan.
Not a fan of the TSA?
No, but only in every respect.
I see.
So I'm.
There are certain exceptions, like none.
I would say that's a
Okay.
perfect example.
Okay, good. The guitar is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They do look at the capo. Here?
Yeah.
Here.
Hope so.
Okay, here, hold on.
Sure.
Hold that for a second. They do look at... They look at this thing, right? Okay, that's the capo, right? And they don't know what that. It looks like a gun. It's shaped like a gun, and it's a squeezy kind of a device like that. And always there's one guy who goes like, oh no, that's cool.
Right,
one
one
guitar
guy.
player who goes like, oh, he's cool. That's all right. And then everything else, all my other stuff gets through right away.
Huh? I can't see that being gun shaped. But then again, you've seen. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
But you've seen some of the other things they've confiscated.
Yeah.
So, and you've also.
And never seen them again. Yeah.
Well, this is so dangerous that what I need to do is put it right here next to me and leave it here for the remainder of the shift. Because it might be a bomb. If it is.
Oh, see, this is one of your problems with them. That they do that. They take things away and they just stick them there for anybody to pick up and use.
Well, no, it's that the whole thing is just theater.
Ah.
Yeah, it's $1 trillion boondoggle.
Right.
And it does nothing.
Okay.
So that's just my, for those of you who have never heard me say that before.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
it is.
Well, I'm trying to think of a melody for that right now.
You are welcome to it.
Okay.
You are welcome to it. All right, well, I'm going to thank Roy Zimmerman because he's got to get going on stage pretty quick here. And, I'll include some little snippets of songs here so you can enjoy them as much as I do. This one kind of surprised me. The whole bathroom bullshit from the assorted Carolinas, who knows which ones, who cares? I'm sure people in those Carolinas care, but I don't. He already had a song ready for that. Maybe he had retooled it. Maybe it was just so obvious that it had to be done in advance. No, more likely he just wrote it. The thing is, the bathroom people are using the guise of religious liberty as some kind of weird badge to do all kinds of crazy bullshit. And even though it was only a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Roy already had a song for it, and that's, kind of crazy.
This is a song that we wrote a few weeks ago when North Carolina passed its bathroom law. Yes, okay, right. I'm sorry, did I say bathroom law? I meant religious freedom law. Right, okay. Religious freedom indeed, right? It was intended to keep men out of the restroom, out of the women's restroom, right? That's what they say. Men who just feel like a lady that day. Because that's the thing. That's what they say. This is their logic, right? If you just a guy just feels like a lady that day, so we're going to walk into the lady. Come on, Meanwhile, there's a priest right around the corner raping some kid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So Not funny, but true. Anyway, and now because of the laws, there are documented cases of people, men going into women's rooms to enforce the law. So the whole idea was a subterfuge to begin with. It was just to allow men into the ladies' room. That's what they wanted to do in the first place. And I'm sick of dealing with the issues. I am. I just want a job where I can sit around all day and think about sex. So I'm running for the Michigan State Assembly. Because that apparently is what they do, right? Their response to the Flint water crisis was to pass a law outlawing sodomy. That's what they did. Right away, they jumped on that, so to speak, and outlawing. There was already a law outlawing sodomy on the Michigan State books, already found to be unconstitutional, but they wanted to make doubly sure, I guess, that if anybody got screwed, it was Flint. So this is a song about those laws, the religious freedom nonsense that's going on. It's kind of a history of the United States. Here we go. Back when the pilgrims landed on these rocks, they thanked the Lord and they rang out their socks. They were escaping those religious tyrannies, so they said, geez, let us worship as we please. They knew the strictures of their scriptures would never fail them. And so they started lighting fires on the pyres in Salem. Freedom to oppress in the name of righteousness. Religious freedom to scratch where it itches. Religious freedom to burn our own witches.
Red state, blue state, doesn't always work. Roy Zimmerman likes to address, he goes to towns where you'd think, oh my gosh, that whole region would be unfriendly to him. But what he looks for isn't blue states or blue counties. He looks for blue dots. He looks for tiny places in red country where the blues can congregate, and he calls them blue dot areas. So he, kind of works on that. So there you go.
I do travel all over the country. I play for a lot of the blue dot groups, what I call blue dot groups, who are the most progressive people in some of the least progressive places in the country. You guys have no perspective on that. Big blue blob that Seattle is or whatever, that too. But, you don't have to get too far out of town, right? I played Pasco. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so, all right. The blue blobs, okay, or the blue dots, rather, in these places like that. We're doing great work, in the face of great odds, definitely. One of the issues they're working on hardest is voting rights. They have to, right? Because voting rights are under siege all over the country. There's all these attempts to squelch the vote in the name of anti-corruption, to move the polling places in the dead of night, and to require the ID card and purge the voter rolls. Nothing new. It's just the latest attempt to clean up the process by getting the voting out of politics. Way back when they said all men, they meant every wealthy European male. So back then to vote required political analysis. Politics. There's a lot of anti-corporate talk going around. You hear it? bleeding heart, I can't help but think, who will stand up for these corporations? Because corporations are not huge, greedy, self-interested monoliths. They're people. Huge, greedy, self-interested people. And it turns out there is a group that will stand up for the rights of these people. And the group is called the Citizens United. Exxon, you've been living in the shadow, whispering in the back room, where no one can hear a word. Ah, Exxon, child, I just friended you on Facebook, 'cause the Citizens United say your voice should be heard. Oh yes they do, you know it should. 'Cause Exxon, you're a person too. You got all the rights that people do. You spend millions on elections like a real person would if they could. And we're Citizens United for corporate personhood.
One thing amazing that Roy Zimmerman managed to do in his concert that I had never seen done before with such a degree of success was a moment of silence in a song. A quiet moment that just hung in the air. Now, the song is about the traffic infraction known as driving while black, DWB. DWB, I didn't realize until a few years ago, was an actual thing. J-Dog got married a few years back, and one of his groomsmen had kind of a hard time getting to the rehearsal dinner in the suburbs. He took a bus, and then I don't remember if it was a taxi or if someone had to go pick him up from the park and ride. And I said, Jesus, man, why don't you just drive? I know you have a car. He said, oh, I don't drive in the suburbs. Now, this is in Linwood, Washington, where traffic stops are pretty outrageous anyway. It's a huge part of the city's budget, which is ridiculous because they've got so much business, so much commerce, so much property tax, whatever. It's stupid. He said, no, I just don't do it. It's just not worth the risk. So this song is about driving while black, and I thought, well, surely it can't be that big of a deal. So of course I had to look it up, and as it turns out, if you are black, you are 30% more likely to get pulled over. And once you are pulled over, you're 3 times as likely to get searched. And of course, that means you're more likely to get arrested. Now, there is not a higher drug use rate among African Americans than non-African Americans. There's not a higher, it's curious is what it is. It's curious. So in his song, it talks about the crime of driving while black, and then it moves into I Can't Breathe. And in his moment of silence, where the song dips and lulls and allows reflection, there was not a peep, not a word was spoken, not a cough in the room. It was dead silent for fully 5 seconds. So, please to enjoy.
Chased you down 'cause you had a pocket knife. Thought you might be joining the Swiss Army, or stealing Skittles, or selling cigarettes, or otherwise compromising Western civilization. Oh, you can't breathe. No, you can't breathe. You can't breathe. You can't breathe. That's what they all say. Come quietly.
I'll book you on a DOAWB.
So I know this is crazy late in the podcast, but I had to bring this up. Roy Zimmerman had another timely segment in the live show. This one was about the Orlando shooting. Now, it had only happened, news had only broken about 15 hours before. Now, you could argue that gun violence in America is so prevalent, rampant, and runaway that this was a song he just had in the can. And I would believe that's almost certainly true. But with that said, here is Roy's take on gun violence, specifically 15 hours after the Orlando shooting.
Another day, another crazy loner with a gun. Another mad jihadi's done what cannot be undone. The congressperson semi-automatically declares, to the victims of this tragedy we send our thoughts and prayers. If guns are regulated, well, we're on a slippery slope to common sense and public safety, reason, peace, and hope. But rest assured, we've got the issue square in our crosshairs. And to the victims of this tragedy, we send our thoughts and prayers. Aim high, we say, shoot straight, we say, go for the kill, we shout. We've got the enemy in our sights, we say, let's take them out. We vomit violent rhetoric like drunken legionnaires. And to the victims of this tragedy, we send our thoughts and prayers. Let's work for open carry, so curly mow.
Hot streams for your face. Hot streams for your face.
So we're getting to the end of it here, and there's something kind of fun we should talk about. Roy is going to be doing one new song a week on his YouTube channel from now until the election. That's like another 20 weeks. My God, is it so long? Oh, I'm not sure my heart can take it. Why? Why, America? Why must our elections be so long? At any rate, you've got to check him out. As you can tell from the podcast, he's just awesome. And if you've made it this far, clearly you need a little bit more. So follow the links in the description below. Check out Roy Zimmerman. And for the love of all things holy, just enjoy the music.
And we can do this because we're empty nesters. We've got two sons, 25 and 24. Those aren't their names. Their names are 6 and 9. And anyway, it's a fortunate way to live, I think. And we do have now a campaign promise. This is our new thing, a campaign promise to post a new song of the week every week until Election Day. Yes. We've been at it for a few weeks now. We got about 21 more songs, I think it is, until Election Day, then two to go, almost enough to keep up with the absurdity.
Oh my gosh, we're at the end? Well, that was a great show. I'm actually really, really pleased with it, and I should be, because I spent an inordinate amount of time putting it together. This has been the 620 podcast. Podcast number, what are we at? 48. Where does the time go? We're coming up on a year. Thanks to Roy Zimmerman for participating and allowing me to use some clips of his from his awesome YouTube channel and from the live show that was performed last week in Seattle. Follow me around the web. Go to glossynews.com/podcast, where you can find links to Facebook and Twitter and iTunes and all that good stuff. My YouTube channel, you name it. I don't know where you're coming from. It doesn't matter. So thank you, my friends, for this wonderful week we've had. And next week, I've got some really crazy stuff, some really awesome, detailed, involved segments that I'm really excited about. One's almost done. The other one I'm working on right now. It's going to be crazy. So, all right, as we lead out over the end, after these credits have rolled, there will be, instead of a closing thought, there'll be a closing segment from Roy. So I appreciate you guys sticking around this long, and enjoy the rest of the show. And, of course, segment bumpers by Greg the Hero. He's awesome possum. And 2 songs, the intro and outro by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. All right. See you next Sunday for the regulars, Monday for the rest. Talk to you soon.
Someday you'll look to see I've gone, but tomorrow they rain, so I'll follow the sun, follow the sun, follow the sun. There's a fog upon LA, and my friends have lost their way. We'll be over soon, they say, but they've lost themselves instead. Michelle, my bells on the morning, Number 9. All the lonely people, where do they all belong? All the lonely people, where do they all come from? Dublin. This year's up at the train to the station with glasses imported with looking glass ties. Suddenly someone appears